Hello, welcome everybody to our side of this conference. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you and I am your host alongside with my colleague Iliri. Hello.
Hello.
We would like to welcome you to the reliability track of this conference. And we're in for a couple of awesome talks. Uh, and yeah, I have a couple of housekeeping things that I wanted to discuss with you. And the first one is we have a code of conduct. It is on our event platform. You can find it there. You can also find the form to fill out in case you have any code of conduct violations to report. It's an anonymous form. Please reach out to us if there's anything that you see that you would like us to know. Don't forget to do some networking between the talks. And also thank you so much to our sponsors. They have virtual booths at the conference, so go and check those out. And without further ado, Iliri, what's our first talk?
All right, so this first talk is about user experience. All right, many times when we use technology, what takes us back to this technology is the experience that we have with those technologies. So we're going to be introducing Cansu, Angels, and Donal as they give us the talk on when Techie meets UX. Let's have that.
Cool. How's it going?
Hello, hello.
Hello.
Is my screen share visible? Oh, perfect. Now it is.
Awesome.
Okay, welcome everyone to our talk called When Techie Meets UX. But first, let's get to know each other.
So, welcome everyone. My name is Angels. I'm based in Barcelona. I work as a UX designer in the Red Hat Open Innovation Labs team. But these days I'm in the south of Spain, just for another project. Nice to meet you all.
Cool. How's it going, everybody? My name is Donal Spring. I am an architect working for the Red Hat Open Innovation Labs. So I'm a bit of a jack of all trades, brackets master of none.
Welcome everyone. My name is Cansu. I'm also an architect in Open Innovation Labs. So my main focus is usually bootstrapping the SRE mindset within the teams that we work with. And today, this is not going to be like a techie talk. That's why we wanted to put a disclaimer. Even though we are in the reliability track, and I know that there are really great talks around the technology, but we would like to more talk about the mindset and the, how UX practices can help you to build those mindsets. This is just like in the SRE, right? Site reliability engineering is not exactly about the tools, about having the right mindset and the practices and the culture in place so that you can achieve the great reliability. So with that, we want to actually start some of the myths that we've been seeing in the field, we've been seeing in the organizations that we work with. We have 3 special myths for you. So, but before that, we want you to take your phone, use your camera to scan the code, and tell us what do you think is a UX designer's responsibility. So we give you a minute or so in here. Let's hear from you.
Okay, someone says making things look pretty.
It's working.
Understanding users, slides. Building fake apps.
These all sound like the wrong thing. Well, maybe understanding the users.
Maybe understanding the users is good.
Okay, then would you like to move on?
Yes, please.
Yeah. There's a comment in the chat. Responsible for customers' overall journey on the site. Yeah, cool. That was a good one.
Nice, that's a good one. Thank you. Coming. I'll say everything.
I like that one.
Delight the client. Nice.
It's a good one.
Yeah. Cool.
All right. So
let's start with the myth number 1. So someone said UX is only about pretty things. So next slide, please, Cansu. What I want to share with you today is about a story. So I have a friend of mine that he travels a lot as well for work. And he always complains about hotel staff and everything. So what I want you to ask yourselves is about the worst thing of staying in a hotel, maybe the shower, maybe the bed, maybe the breakfast. So in this case, our friend was telling us the stories about the bad stays, how bad he was sleeping and everything. But at some point, he arrived in this hotel where he was asked, or someone gave him, next slide, please, Cansu. A pillow menu. So what he found is that the receptionist asked him which kind of pillow did he want that night, and he was like, what are you asking me about? So the receptionist gave him a menu pillow, and he went to his room. Then he read all of the characteristics of every pillow. He asked for 3 of them. Then he tried them, and then he just picked one. And he really liked that experience, that the next day he wanted to try out any other pillow. So at the end, with this example, what I want you to say or to share with you, next slide, please. Which one would you choose? A hotel with a pillow menu or a hotel without a pillow menu? At the end, it's more about thinking what's the preference of the user. And definitely, I can tell you that my friend, he will go back to that hotel. So next slide, please. So the UX designers, we help to make the best decisions for the users, for the product, and ultimately the team. Maybe in this case also mention about the human-centric approach that we have to have the user in mind in every step. Also, it's more about the feedback loops. And maybe in this case, the hotel would change in a sense that instead of giving a pillow menu, they will put directly the pillows in the room. So the user will find out and will be more a surprise thing. Who knows? But definitely it's like that. And also taking the qualitative and quantitative data that will go through the research process.
Cool. Myth number 2. So SRE, Site Reliability Engineering, is just the new name for ops. They manage my code for me, because that's me. I'm the developer down there. That's me. As far as I'm thinking, ops, SRE, it's all the same, and it's just something that happens over there. So does this sort of sound like the old world problem that we've seen many, many times before, but it's now got a cool new name? Probably not. Yeah, okay. So site reliability engineering, in our view, is more than just a team, right? It's sort of this, we kind of see it as like a capability, and it should be embedded in all of the teams. So building a culture of like build it, own it, and run it means that our app teams need to be responsible for the end-to-end journey that their code goes through. So if we think about like things happening in production, you know, the developers, the engineers should be the ones with the pages, right? And site reliability engineering teams can help enable others by showing them the tools of the trades, but not being an impediment to them, and promote this kind of ownership culture from within the teams. And then if we kind of extrapolate that one step further, we can kind of think of like platforms can be created in order to ease the concerns of the engineers by providing these reusable patterns and reusable opinions. I used to say standards, but now I say opinions because otherwise you end up with too many standards. So yeah, so the platforms can be used to kind of just provide these capabilities such that it's easier for the engineers to adopt them.
And the myth number 3 is when especially building a platform for developers, we see this behavior that platform teams, the SRE teams, that they see that we know what user needs. We don't really need to talk with them. And when you see the platform that they build, they are usually like this because they think that if we build it, they will come, they will bring their applications on top of it, they will use our platforms and they will deploy on it. But actually, that's not the reality what we've seen. Actually, I'm at the moment in Belgium, and I was talking with a customer yesterday, and he said that as a platform team, they're building the platform and waiting for developers to come. And as a developer teams, they're actually waiting for the platform that can help to solve their problems, that help them to easily adapt these like the automated testing approaches or pipelines or like some sort of reliability practices easy to consume from platform. So basically, they are waiting for each other, and no one is doing anything on top of platform. So that is not the right way to do it. So for that, you really need to understand what your actual users are expecting from you, what they need, and you look for a way to basically solve in the way that they can't resist, then they can come and solve it. So this sounds super familiar to you. Maybe this sounds all familiar, but okay, what are we suggesting here, guys? Like, what are we suggesting?
So I think we just have to, welcome to the club, Angels. Good job, Angels. You're now in the cool Techie club. Yeah, well done, you.
Thank you.
So what we've learned is actually blending user experience with our developers as the kind of the user, and treating platforms as like first-class citizens, as actual products within our organization. Then that's kind of the way forward in our view. Do you want to jump to the next slide there, Cansu? So if we kind of think of like the sort of traditional layers that exist within like cloud native organizations, you often have these like application layer, platform layers, infrastructure layers. And one of the common problems that we've seen is actually this kind of idea of cognitive overload in the application engineering layer. So if you go back a few years ago, engineers would basically put some Java code, fire it over a wall, somebody else tested it, somebody else deployed it, and somebody else ran it. But as we move to more like cloud native teams and more cross-functional teams, right, we have this notion of a T-shaped developer, someone with a depth in one specific area and a breadth of skills that sit along the top, so that they can be responsible for building, testing, running, and operating their own software. But what's actually happened is we've created this sort of fat layer. So Cansu, go on to the next slide. Instead of creating T-shaped engineers, we basically created these like rectangle shaped engineers, where we have this notion that all of our engineers are these magical, mythical unicorns that can do everything and anything at demand with all of the depth across all of the fields. And of course, this increasing remit, this increasing responsibility has sort of led to this sort of higher level of burnout, right? We've got like a greater aspect that these people need to be responsible for. So the cognitive load is much higher. And actually what we're spotting is that as people move towards cloud native organizational structures, that our teams are becoming overwhelmed and they're not able to actually get things through fast enough, even though we're giving more responsibility. And this is really a good segue for us, because this is where things like team topologies, which used to be called the DevOps teams or something like that. DevOps topologies. DevOps topologies, yeah. And now it's called this team topology. And this is a really great book. Well, I totally advocate someone reading this book. It's really, really great. It kind of gives us the language to describe these things in like a better detail. And separation of concerns is really important in this regard, and the patterns and the challenges that they articulate in the book of how these different teams can interact with each other is quite a powerful thing. So for us in Red Hat, we act as an enabling team for our customers, and we help them to build platform and streamline teams around these concepts. So it's kind of great for us that they've gone and named the thing that we've been doing for a while. You want to jump onto the next slide, please, Cansu? So this is the problem we're trying to address, right? We've got this overloaded, cognitively overloaded engineers. They've got this big fat piece of responsibility. So what we're trying to do is actually create platforms that are fit for purpose. And by doing that, we want to embed things like site reliability engineering as a capability, as opposed to a team within these teams, so that they can become lean again, right? If we can provide functionality from a platform perspective, that makes it easier for developers to self-serve observability capabilities, to be able to self-serve monitoring capabilities, to be able to self-serve logging capabilities, or even data capabilities, right? We're lowering the cognitive load for the engineers so that they can focus on the hard stuff, which is, solving that business problem, and that the bits underneath become, we're not removing ownership or removing any innovation, but we're saying, let's try and turn those into services that support everyone. Sounds very fluffy. So in order for us to do that, we need to apply a product mindset to building platforms. Yeah. And if we apply product mindset, go to the next slide, we need to start thinking about the kind of the sort of intersecting Venn diagram. I never thought I'd ever need a Venn diagram in my life before today, but this Venn diagram of desirability, viability, and feasibility, right? This is all a healthy tension between building the thing right and building the right thing. And this sweet spot in the middle is kind of the minimal viable platform that we need to support these things. And if we think about how user experience design could be used to enable this, then we really need to start thinking about some of the practices that we can use and who we put in the center for our users in building these platforms. Angels, what are the tools that we can use?
So in here, you can find some tools that we used. In this case, you can see 3 different columns, I would say. So it's like the column of think, which is about more of the research, where we get all the data by doing interviews, by doing focus group discussions, and also some surveys. And as I said, having in mind the quantitative and qualitative data for this. We have the column in the middle, which is about the make this synthesize and the information and prototype it by analyzing and doing some practices such as empathy map will help us definitely to empathize with the user and understand what is in his or her mind. Also define the personas, the users that will use the platform. Then map the journey by doing a user journey and defining those steps. And also with all of that, we will reveal the pain points. And at the end, doing these 2 phases, we will have the check phase, which is more about testing the overall process that we went through, and also organizing maybe some of the documentation that they have by these baby steps that we identify in the user journey. So at the end, the goal of making this process, which is the Lean UX one, is to bring the developers to the platform team room, as Cansu said that previously. Next slide. So you might think, maybe we don't believe you. We don't think this is possible. But let's continue and let's find out how we did it.
So actually, we exactly follow this mindset, follow this methodology in a up in Nordic, in the very close to the Arctic Circle. We work with a governmental institution in Nordics, and they have this vision of creating a state-of-the-art platform as a service, a self-service platform for focusing on developer experience and productivity in order to increase the faster time to market, in order to increase the ownership in the developers, in order to create more transparency what is going on in the platform. Because what they have, like if you just think about their CI/CD pipeline solutions, one of their UX designer actually used a great analogy, and she said that the way that developers was working in the with the platform, with the existing pipeline, is that like putting your child through a slide in the pool, like the water slide, and you just hoping it to come out, like hoping your child would come out, because they have zero visibility what is going on in the system, what is happening in the pipeline, and if there's something wrong, they just reach out to Slack to their platform team and just saying, oh, this doesn't work, just help me out, and the platform team basically became some sort of like a bottleneck to them. Or maybe if they only know it's like they can maybe troubleshoot themselves, they can maybe just try to fix it themselves, or maybe even improve it with themselves. But unfortunately, that wasn't the case when we arrived. So
I wonder how many children they would put through this water slide before they'd actually ask for help as well. Like I put 17 children in and none of them have come out. Can you help me now?
That means there is something wrong with the slide, so you need to take it out.
Get skinnier children.
So
Angel,
for that,
yeah,
thank you, Cansu. So for that, what we did is to give them a little bit of context about what's a platform as a product. It's a quite new concept. I have to say, honestly, personally, it was hard for me to understand. But we ran this workshop and we were with the participants asking what's a platform, what's not, what it has, and what's not. And we were analyzing the different aspects of a platform. And also, this is a workshop that we ran half a day. So if you want to know more about it or anything, just contact any of us.
Exactly. So after we set the context of applying the product mindset to the platform in order to basically increase the visibility of the platform or empower the developers, we did some additional practices that you can find in our toolkit, which you can go to openpracticelibrary.com to find this kind of practices. This is called event storming. So we sort of bring a practice from domain-driven design community, and we said that, okay, how our users will use this product, what we are envision, and we also have the developers in the room, we also have the platform people in the room, we also have the people from the business, and we set a scenario like we want our developers to able to deploy to production even it's on their first day, like, because we need to have the trust in the system, but we need to also have this easy to use, compelling platform for them. And we started to ideate on it. We started to capture the questions about like some sandboxes, some pipelines and all. And then we started to work towards that. And it was just one of the practices that we used. As I said, that you can find more on in Open Practice Library, that we can share the link maybe on chat. And then we sort of focus on these in each sprint. So the first sprint focus was about the sandbox research, how a developer would like to access a sandbox, how a developer would like to basically work on the sandbox, what they need for a sandbox environment. And then we focused on the onboarding and application to the platform. And we do this with the developers, and we sort of identify what sort of handover in their current process, what sort of improvement we can do, what sort of pain points they have. And then we iterate over it with more user research, with more interviews, with more feedback, and we try to simplify the process. And then we have some organized documentation, focused sprints to understand how they want to reach the information, how they would like to be informed when there's a new capability on the platform, and so on. There is anything you would like to add, Angels, because
there's one thing.
All this.
There's one thing that I would like to highlight is that, for example, in the onboarding, from the onboarding research and until the end, we were collaborating together in a sense that every piece that the techies had prepared to test, we were like, okay, shall we test it with the developers? Shall we arrange some testing sessions and everything? So we started to bring all of these steps in the room, and it was very interesting, I would say. And also for this final live document, this is a user journey in where you can see some of the steps, touch points, also the documentation tasks. But mostly what is important from here is the users. So you can see the developers, the platform team, and the testers. This is a document that it's not finished. As it says, it's a live document. It's to be updated. And also we had in mind the metrics, how each of the steps was performing and what was important for each of that, which also helped us to have a communication between the UX and the platform team to be aligned and see what were they working on or what we were working on and focus for the next sprint.
I guess if I could just jump in here, I guess the key thing here is, this isn't like build it for them. It's an integrated effort, right? So some of the proof point from those from the experimentation with the users is also taking real world applications that they're owning and operating and applying the learning on the platform as well. So it's not like tell me what you want, I'll go away and build it for you. It's more of a collaborative engagement, right, between the platform team and the what Team Topologies calls the streamline team or the app dev teams.
So we have some pictures, on the left we have some focus group discussions about I think it was the platform as a product workshop about what should be our platform and what should be the mission of this platform, what should the platform consist of, and this kind of discussions, and how can we bring the product mindset to it. And then here is Angels testing testing the onboarding process with some users, and the most important thing is that, as just Donal said, we sit with the user, and here I am creeping from the right hand side, watching how they are using the platform, and also the people from the company itself, from the platform team. We were basically just testing with them, getting their feedback, understanding how they're interacting with the system, how they would like to interact with the system, and basically bring back all these knowledge to the platform again. So the new platform, new solution was, for example, for the pipeline was very, very, very transparent, and then it is like a pluggable solution in the end. So as platform, we don't dictate what they should use. We just sort of provide some sort of Lego bricks so that they can use them out of the shelf easily to build what they would like to build, and also they can bring their own Lego bricks if they can't find whatever we have, or if they don't like whatever we have on the platform. And that also helps us to improve the platform altogether, because when they have their own brick and when they are happy with this, they can also bring it to the platform. They can also contribute to the platform for any other team that might need the same thing. So the new solution wasn't the black box, wasn't like if my child is going on, but basically they were informed on each step of the new solution. All right. Here are some key takeaways while we are about time.
So for the first one, it's all about the feedback loops. As I share with you the 3 phases, in this case, you can see that all of them are connected and you go through all of them super quickly, super fast, and you also have the user in mind in each of the steps. And I have to say this is an iterative and very important step. So just remember that.
And this shared tools that both developers and operation people, platform people, can really help them to speak the same language. Like practices like GitOps, when both of the sides are interacting with Git, they're talking as code, they are define their applications and the infrastructure as code openly on Git. That really helps us help to facilitate the conversations among them. And same goes, for example, the all these. For example, for observability on the SRE side of things, like the platform teams can have defined their SLOs and can display this on publicly, and they can also help to facilitate some conversations, help them to have the same kind of capabilities for the application people, basically enable them for these definitions of service level indicators or the objectives or the error budgets and this kind of thing. So that's really basically get them closer. Using this kind of shared tools can really help the organization to move faster.
Cool. And then I guess the last sort of key takeaway in our view is to empower developers to own their thing and encourage them to contribute back. So if we think about platforms, they're kind of not one and done. They're kind of like the hashtag we like to use is never done. So platforms will always continuously evolve. New technology will emerge and patterns will best practice this week could be shy practice next week. You know, it's important that we kind of always keep an eye on the evolutionary nature of things like platforms. And so if we can encourage engineers to kind of contribute this stuff back and create more like an inner source model around some of these like Lego bricks that Cansu was describing for components that exist within a pipeline. You know, as an engineer goes and uses it and they say, oh, actually, this would be better if it did X, Y, Z, or you know, there's a new version of that library out there. Instead of just fixing it in their own ecosystem for their own use case, they can push that upstream to more like a marketplace or an inner source group where that capability can then be shared with other teams is a really important tenet of making this stuff sticky. So,
you want to know more?
Thanks for listening. And if you want to know more. Sorry,
reach out. Yeah, you can reach out to us individually, or you can reach out to our website and reach out to our team in general. Feel free to reach to us in, I don't know, everywhere. I think LinkedIn, Twitter, and even on GitHub. So thanks for listening.
Thank you so much.
I guess, is there any questions that anybody have? I can have a look in the comments. I thought I saw some numbers pop up.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for that amazing talk. There was just one comment and from Bahadur, and he was talking about the black box there, that the fun starts when you begin to deploy. I think he's had some experience, you know, with that. So, but one question though, and thank you for clarifying the myths about UX. You know, I come from a developer background, and whenever I hear UX, the first thing that comes to my mind, or back then, was that of course, you're doing some things on Figma and you're having some pretty designs, all right? So you clarified that for me, and it's an entire journey, all right? And it's not just those initial, just those designs that we see. So that was really on point for me. Thank you so much.
Cool, no problems.
Thank you for the comment.
All right.
Awesome. Yep. I really liked your talk as well. And I wanted to ask you, because you did this whole workshop series that was also very tangible and very nicely structured. Which part of that workshop series was the most valuable for you? Where did you get oh, we didn't think about that sort of situation out of it?
So what we did in Norway, it wasn't exactly a workshop, but it was like a 6 weeks of what we call residency. We paired up with the customer to build this platform and do the interviews with them. Basically, what we are doing is given the capability, helping them to enable with our technology and this UX practices and all the other practices that we use. I think during that, at the beginning, like they really actually have good automation in place. They did a bunch of stuff, and the way that they were, because at the beginning we were just interacting with the platform people, and then at the beginning of the project that we started to talk with the developers. At the beginning, when we were just defining the use case and everything, when they were just presenting us what they have, they were already have good, really good automation, and the way that they also explain things was like nicely, and how they develop all this stuff. And then when we were doing the user interviews, one of the users and one of the developers said that, oh, sometimes I feel a bit intimidated to keep them, just ping them, like keep asking from them. And all the platform people were like, oh, are we looking like scary people, or like, oh, we were super open, we were like, just we were always welcoming their questions or questions, but their perception was so different. And we sort of like figure this out during all this user interview, and that was a lot of aha moment for them, not exactly for us, but for them within the organization, about how the platform perception was, and they were more even convinced to do these things, to use the UX practices in their daily life.
And if you are thinking of like embarking on an adventure such as platform as a product, we can help you out with that adventure. We can run like a little half-day workshop with people if they want to kind of like deeper dive and apply some of these things to their own context. So we're happy to go and do that if anybody's interested. Just reach out to any of us.
Great. Perfect. Thank you very much. And yeah, have a good rest of the conference. I hope you get to watch some more talks and enjoy what we have here. We are going to take a little break now. So use our platform, familiarize yourself with our sponsors, have a look around, look on Twitter. We have a hashtag. That is hashtag WTFSSRE. And Iliri, you're live tweeting, right?
Yes, I am, and I'm enjoying it.
Awesome. And your handle is also visible in your name here, should be on the screen.
Yep.
So yeah, people can follow you.
Please follow me on Twitter, and if you have any questions for the speakers, you can put them on Twitter as well, and we'll definitely float it above to them. Thank you.
Awesome. Very good. Don't forget to post your questions if you have any into our chat so that we can ask the speakers after their talks. And we will see you in a little bit. So we're taking a 15-minute break from now. So make sure to be here well hydrated and ready for the next talk in 15 minutes. See you then.